The Mirrorana de Armas was sitting alone in the makeup room. The lights around the mirror were on, but her eyes were dim. She looked down at the floor, hands locked together in her lap. Around her, the world of Hollywood moved like a machine, people walking fast. Its voices echoing down the hallway, cameras clicking, radios buzzing. But inside that room, everything was still. The film set was just a few feet away, but Anna hadn't stepped back on stage in over an hour. Her makeup was halfway done. Her lipstick was untouched. Someone had started curling her hair but stopped when she asked for a break. Nobody said anything when she left the set. Nobody followed her. Maybe they thought she needed a moment. Maybe they didn't care. She looked into the mirror, but not at herself. Instead, she stared past her reflection into the bright bulbs that surrounded the frame. The heat from those little lights reminded her of the pressure always watching. Always expecting, Anna whispered, almost to herself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Just then the door opened. Slowly, no knock, no noise. She turned her head slightly, just enough to see who it was. Keanu Reeves. He stepped in quietly, holding something in his hands. Anna blinked. She wiped a tear from her cheek quickly and looked away. She didn't want him to see. Not like this. But Keanu saw everything. He always did. Without a word, he sat down across from her. In his hands was a small, handheld mirror. Not the kind you'd find in a fancy studio. This one was old, wooden handle, some of the paint chipped off. It looked like it had history. He placed it gently on the table between them. This was my mother's, he said softly. She gave it to me when I was 16, she told me. When you look in this mirror, don't look for perfection. Look for truth. Anna didn't respond. Right away, she was still trying to keep herself from crying. Keanu leaned back slightly and spoke again, his voice calm, kind, steady. Everyone's looking at you like you're a star. But sometimes stars don't feel like stars. They feel like shadows. That line cut through her defenses. Anna looked at him, really looked at him. And in that moment, she didn't see the action hero. She didn't see the Hollywood legend. She saw a man humble, thoughtful, and incredibly human. She finally spoke. Said I wasn't doing it right. That the emotion wasn't real. Keanu nodded. Yes. You're not a machine, Anna. You're a person. You feel things differently. That's your power. Don't let anyone take that from you. She looked down at the mirror on the table. Slowly. She picked it up and held it in her hands. The glass was a little foggy, a little worn. But it reflected something the big studio mirrors didn't. Truth. You're not here to impress them, Keanu said. You're here to tell the truth. Your truth. Anna closed her eyes. She let the weight of those words settle into her chest. For a moment, she forgot about the cameras, the critiques, the deadlines. All she could think about was the mirror and what it showed her. I don't know if I can do it, she whispered. Keanu leaned forward. Then let me help you. His voice didn't sound like a script. It sounded like a promise. A long silence filled the room, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence where something real is being born, like trust or healing. Finally, Anna stood up. She looked into the big mirror in front of her, the one with the bright bulbs and the cold surface. Then she looked back at the small mirror in her hands, and she smiled. It's just a little. Okay, she said. Let's try again. Keanu smiled too. He didn't say anything. He just walked beside her, down the hallway, back toward the set. And behind them, on the makeup table, the mirror glowed softly in the light, as if it had done its job. The silence on Seth's hallway was quiet when Anna and Keanu walked back. Too quiet. Usually, the sound team joked near the coffee table, and someone was always adjusting lights or calling out directions. But now, the crew stood scattered. There. Voices hushed, their eyes glancing toward the pair as they returned. Anna noticed it, the shift, the tension. She felt it in her chest like a soft pressure building with each step. Keanu didn't say anything, just walked beside her. His calm presence was like a blanket covering the unease around them. When they stepped onto the set, the director looked up from behind the monitor. He was holding a cup of cold coffee. He tried to act casual, but his eyes flicked to Keanu, then back to Anna, then to the floor. Anna stood still for a second. Then she whispered to Keanu, "I'm scared." He leaned closer and said, "Then use that. Fear is honest. And honesty always reaches people." She took a breath and nodded. The assistant director gave a small wave, signaling everyone to get ready. The set lights came on. The cameras moved into place. Makeup rushed in and touched up her face quickly, just a little powder under the eyes. Someone handed her a script, but she didn't look at it. Keanu stepped into his mark. Anna followed and stood across from him. This scene was supposed to be emotional. Her character had just lost everything.
Ow.
She had no lines. She just had to look at him, and the moment had to feel real. Before, she couldn't get it right. She'd tried too hard, pushed too deep, and it looked fake, but now something was different. Rolling, someone called Anna didn't look at the camera. She looked into Keanu's eyes, and he looked back. Not as a co-star, not as a Hollywood icon, but as a friend. There was a pause then. Keanu took a single step forward, as the script said. His eyes didn't blink. They held sadness, compassion, something deep. Anna's lips trembled. She didn't try to cry, but tears came anyway. They dropped down her cheek, quiet and unforced. "Cut," the director said softly, barely loud enough to hear. The silence after that word was heavy. Everyone stood still, staring at the monitor. Then the director stood up slowly, eyes wide. "That was it," he said. "That's what we've been waiting for." A small wave of relief hit Anna's shoulders. She looked at Keanu, and for the first time on this film, she smiled not as a performance, but as herself. But just then, something happened that surprised them both. A younger actor from the cast who had been waiting nearby suddenly walked onto the set, clapping. Everyone turned to look. "Bravo," he said with a sarcastic grin. "The legend saves the day again." Keanu's expression didn't change. Anna's smile faded. The actor continued. "Maybe some of us should walk in with a mirror too. Maybe then we'll be good enough." The air shifted. The sound crew looked down. The lighting techs paused mid-dash adjustment. Anna took a small step back, but Keanu moved forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't show anger. He simply asked, "Why are you here?" The young actor blinked. "What?" Keanu repeated, slower this time. "Why are you here?" "To act, to work." Keanu nodded. "No. Why are you really here?" The set was silent. Again, Keanu continued, "If it's for praise, you'll be empty. If it's for power, you'll hurt people. But if it's to serve the story, to reach the broken, then even silence can be a gift." The young actor opened his mouth, but no words came out. Anna stared at Keanu. She'd seen him act before, but this wasn't acting. Something deeper. The actor turned and left the set quietly. The director cleared his throat. "Let's reset for the next scene." But no one moved, because something sacred had happened. Anna looked down at the mirror in her hand again. It's the little one Keanu had brought her. And for the first time, she understood its meaning. Truth, and truth was powerful. Not loud, not proud, just real. Echoes from the past next morning came with a strange stillness. Anna arrived early, long before the crew. She walked through the quiet lot, holding the same small mirror Keanu had given her. It was wrapped gently in a cloth, like something sacred. The makeup room was still locked, so she sat on a wooden bench outside. Listening to the birds that seemed to nest on the tall studio lights above, her phone buzzed. A message from her manager, another headline. Ana de Armas breaks down on set, saved by Keanu Reeves. She stared at it for a few seconds and put her phone back in her bag. That's not what happened, she thought. Not really, because Keanu didn't save her. He simply reminded her that she was still there, buried under layers of fear and pressure. As she sat in the morning light, memories began to rise, memories she hadn't touched in years. She remembered her early days in Cuba, working 2 jobs, learning English from YouTube videos, and dreaming about Hollywood through cracked television screens. Back then, acting wasn't about fame or lights. It was about survival. It was about hope. But something had changed along the way. A door clicked open behind her. She turned. It was Keanu. He looked like he hadn't slept much either. His shirt was plain, his hair a little messy. No bodyguards. No assistant. Just him. He sat beside her, not saying anything for a while, just breathing the same early air. After a few minutes, he finally asked, "Why did you start?" Anna looked at him. "Start what?" "Acting," she thought for a moment, then said quietly to feel free. Keanu nodded. "Me too." She turned toward him. "Do you still feel that?" His answer came slowly, like it had to travel through a lot of memories. Sometimes, usually when the cameras are off. Anna looked down at her hands. "I forgot why I started."
Oh.
Somewhere along the way, it became about proving myself, being good enough, being chosen. Keanu looked straight ahead. The world teaches us to be loud, but the soul only speaks in whispers. Anna breathed in deep. Then maybe we've been listening to the wrong voices. They sat in silence again, but it wasn't empty. It was full of understanding. Just then, a crew van pulled into the lot. A few team members stepped out, chatting casually. The day had begun. Anna stood up slowly, brushing dust off her dress. "Thank you," she said. Keanu didn't ask why. He just smiled and nodded. The next scene was a hard one. Anna's character had to confront her father after years of absence. It wasn't the kind of scene where you could fake emotion. It had to come from a real place. As they prepared, the director walked over. He looked calmer today, more focused. "Anna," he said, "whatever you did yesterday, do it again." She gave a small smile. "I didn't do it alone." The cameras rolled. Keanu played the father in this scene. He sat in a chair, silent, while Anna's character entered the room. She had no script this time. They had agreed to improvise, to make it raw. Anna stood across from him and whispered, "I waited for you, every night." Keanu lowered his eyes. "You said you'd come home," she continued, her voice shaking. "But you didn't." A tear ran down her cheek. Not forced, not planned. Just there. "I kept waiting," she said, "even when I stopped believing." Keanu looked up, his lips parted, but he didn't speak. His eyes, though, were full of apology. Anna stepped forward and placed the small mirror on the table between them. "Look at yourself. Tell me what you see." The camera zoomed in slowly. Keanu picked up the mirror and stared into it. And for a few seconds, it was no longer acting either, because that mirror didn't just reflect the character. It reflected the man holding it. "Cut," the director said, but his voice cracked a little. There was no applause, just silence. Powerful, pure. Deep Datna walked off, without waiting for compliments. She didn't need them. She had found something better herself. But as she reached the hallway, she heard a voice behind her. It was the same young actor from before. He wasn't sarcastic this time. "I'm sorry," he said. Anna turned slowly. "For what?" He lowered his head. "For letting jealousy speak louder than respect?" Anna gave him a nod. "Then start over. We all do." And with that, she walked away, not with pride, but with peace. Whispers in the dressing room's sun had almost set by the time Anna returned to the dressing room. Golden light spilled through the half-closed blinds, painting soft stripes across the walls. The studio outside was beginning to empty. Crew members laughed faintly in the distance, packing up cables, adjusting tripods, and winding down after a long day. Anna stood in front of the mirror again. The big one. The one surrounded by perfect bulbs and sleek silver edges. But this time, she also placed the small wooden mirror beside it. The contrast between the two was striking, one flawless, polished, made for show. The other quiet, chipped, and worn. And yet, one felt more real than the other. Anna stared at both reflections. She saw two versions of herself. One that smiled. On cue, delivered perfect lines, and looked good under the spotlight. And another one tired, vulnerable, and full of questions, but deeply, painfully honest. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," she said softly. It was the makeup artist. Her name was Julia, a kind woman with gray streaks in her bun and gentle hands. She had been with Anna since the beginning of this film. Never said much, always observed quietly. "I brought your rap sheet," Julia said, holding a small folder. "Tomorrow's your last shoot day?" Anna blinked. "Already?" "Yeah?" The time flew. Anna opened the folder and stared at the notes, the scene schedules, the wardrobe returns, but her mind was somewhere else. "Julia," she asked suddenly, "have you ever wanted to say something but stayed quiet?" Julia smiled. "Every day." Nah. Looked up. "Why?" Julia stepped closer. "Because actors live in a world where everyone's watching them, but no one really sees them. So sometimes we stay quiet, just to not be another voice telling them what to be." Anna looked down at the mirror again. "I want to be seen, not just watched. There's a difference." Julia nodded. "You're not alone in that." Anna reached for the small mirror again. "Keanu gave this to me. Or maybe lent it. Me remember who I am." Julia smiled again, her eyes kind. "Then keep it. Someone gave him truth. Now he gave it to you. Should I give it to someone else now?" Anna asked. "Not yet," Julia whispered. "Keep it until the truth inside. You doesn't need a mirror anymore." Anna smiled, a little sadly. "Thank you." When Julia left, Anna sat alone again. The door creaked again a few minutes later. This time, it was Keanu. He didn't say anything at first. No. He just leaned against the doorway, watching her reflection. "Tomorrow's your last scene," he said. Anna nodded. Double quotes. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Confused," she answered honestly. "Like something opened up, but I don't know what's inside yet." Keanu stepped in and sat across from her. "That's normal," he said. "When you get close to your truth, it doesn't shout, it whispers." Anna looked at him. "Do you still get confused?" He chuckled. "All the time." She leaned forward. "Do you remember your first real moment on screen? The one that didn't feel like acting?" Keanu looked up, as if searching through time. Then he said, "Yeah. It was a small film, low budget. I had no lines in that scene, just had to sit and cry. I didn't think I could do it, but then something inside broke open. Not because of the script, not because of the camera, but because I finally stopped pretending." Anna breathed in deeply. "I want that. You're already there," he said. "The rest is just silence." They sat like that for a while. The sun dipped lower. Shadows stretched longer. Anna finally broke the silence. "Do you think people change?" "Yes," Keanu said softly. "Not because they want to, but because something in life forces them." "To, like what?" "Loss, failure, kindness. Sometimes even one honest moment." Anna nodded slowly. "Then thank you," she said, "for that moment." Keanu didn't respond. He just smiled, eyes full of quiet understanding. As he stood to leave, Anna called out, "Wait." He turned. "Do you want the mirror back?" Keanu shook his head. "No, not yet." He walked away, leaving her with both reflections. The world knew, the one she was still discovering, and somewhere between the two, Ana de Armas was becoming whole. The last Keith final day on set had a strange kind of energy, quiet but full of weight. Like something important was about to happen and everyone knew it. But no one wanted to say it out loud. Anna arrived early again. She wore a soft beige sweater, loose jeans, and no makeup. Her hair was still messy from sleep. The small wooden mirror was in her hands, wrapped gently in the same cloth. She didn't keep it in a bag. She held it close, like a memory she didn't want to fold away. Today's scene was the closing shot. Of the film, no words. It's just silence, just emotion. Her character was supposed to walk through a burned-down home. No walls, just ashes and sky. She was to find a single object buried in the Rubla mirror, then look into it. And the film would end. When Anna first read the script weeks ago, she didn't understand the meaning. Now it felt like fate. She stepped into the soundstage, which had been transformed into ruins. Pieces of burnt wood, crumbled bricks, smoke, machines filling the air with soft gray mist. It looked so real that her heart skipped a beat. Keanu was already there, not as a character, just watching quietly from behind the camera. He wasn't needed in this final scene, but he came anyway. Anna walked toward him. "You came early," she said. "Wanted to see the last light," he replied. Anna looked around. "It feels strange, doesn't it? It's like something's ending, but something else is just beginning." Keanu nodded. "That's how you know it mattered." The director walked over with a clipboard. "You ready?" he asked. Anna looked at the AI. "Set, then, at Keanu, double quotes." "I think so." The team set up quickly. Cameras in position. Lights lowered. Smoke adjusted. The silence grew heavier. Anna stood at the edge of the scene waiting for the cue. Rolling. Action. She took a step forward. Each footstep was slow, careful, like walking through memory. Her eyes scanned the rubble. The broken pieces of what once was a home. Dust rose with each step. No music. No voiceover. Just silence. Then she saw it. A corner. Something shiny sticking out from under a collapsed beam. Her hands moved slowly as she brushed away the soot. A mirror. It wasn't the wooden one Keanu gave her. It was part of the props made to look broken and scorched. But still, when she picked it up and looked into it, her breath caught. Because she didn't see a character anymore. She saw herself. Her real self. Her tired eyes. Her quiet strength. Her scars. Not the actress. Not the Hollywood star. Just Anna. The camera zoomed in, slow and steady. Her lips trembled, but she didn't cry. She didn't have to, because her silence said everything. "Cut," the director whispered, barely able to. "Speak, no applause, just stillness." Then something unexpected happened. One by one, the crew began to clap. Not loud, just soft, slow, respectful. Like they knew they had witnessed something honest. Keanu stayed behind the camera, watching. His eyes glistened, but he didn't speak. After a while, he walked over to her. Anna was still holding the mirror. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Empty," she replied, "but peaceful." He smiled. "Sometimes that's where new life begins." The director approached with a gentle smile. "That was beautiful, Anna. We're done." Those words hit harder than she expected. We're done. Not just the film. The journey. Anna walked off set slowly. She didn't rush to the dressing room. Didn't check her phone. Didn't even speak. Outside, the sky was turning gold. Birds circled above the lot. The studio looked like a forgotten town, full of ghosted scenes and memories. As she stepped toward her car, she stopped. The young actor, the same one who once mocked her, stood by the trailer door. Holding a book in his hands, he looked nervous. He said softly. Anna gave him a small nod. I read something last night," he continued, "about humility. About how real actors don't chase attention, they carry truth." He handed her the book. Anna looked down at the title. The Silent Craft. She smiled. "Thank you," she said. "You changed something in me," he whispered. Anna didn't reply. With words, she placed the small wooden mirror in his hand. His eyes widened. "This... ... isn't it yours?" "Not anymore," Anna said gently. "It's for the next one who forgets who they are." He held it like it was made of glass, as Anna walked away. She felt something lift from her shoulders. She had given away the mirror, but kept the truth inside, and that was enough. The interview that changed everything. 3 weeks later, Ana de Armas sat quietly in a studio in New York. The room was filled with lights and cameras again, but this time, it wasn't a film set, it was a talk show. It's the kind of place where people laughed loudly, answered questions quickly, and tried to look perfect even when they were tired. Anna had been invited to talk. It's about her upcoming movie, the one she had just finished with Keanu. The film had already become the talk of the town, even though it hadn't been released yet. Rumors were flying around. Stories about how she had transformed during filming, how something deep had shifted in her performance. Some people called it her breakthrough. Others called it her rebirth. But only Anna knew the truth, and she hadn't told anyone yet. The host of the show, A tall man in a sharp suit greeted her with a bright smile. The cameras turned on. The music faded. The red light blinked. Welcome, Ana de Armas, the host said loudly. The audience clapped. Ana smiled politely. So, the host began, everyone's talking about your new film with Keanu Reeves. The early screenings say your performance is breathtaking. Ana gave a small nod. Thank you. People say you went somewhere very deep, that it didn't feel like acting. It felt ... real. Ana paused, then said softly it was real. The host leaned in with curiosity. Tell us what changed. Ana looked down at her hands for a moment, then back up. I stopped performing, she said, and I started listening. Listening to what? To silence, to truth, to the voice inside me that I had ignored for too long. The room grew quieter. The host blinked. What do you mean by that? Ana breathed in slowly. 4 years I tried to become what everyone wanted. Perfect lines, perfect looks, perfect image. But during this film, someone reminded me that perfection isn't honest. It's fear in disguise. Someone, the host asked. Keanu, she said. He gave me a mirror, not just an objecta lesson. The host smiled. That sounds like him, Ana continued. He didn't try to fix me, just saw me. And sometimes, being seen without judgment is what saves us. The audience grew quiet again. Ana leaned forward slightly. We're all carrying stories we don't talk about. Pain we hide, fear we bury. But the truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be heard. The host didn't have a response. For a moment, Ana looked at the crowd. When you watch the film, don't look for a performance. Look for a woman remembering who she is. Soft applause broke out, not the loud, wild kind. Just quiet clapping from people who felt something shift. When the show ended, Ana stepped out of the studio and into the street. It was raining lightly. The city lights blurred through the wet windows. Her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu saw the interview. He didn't need a script. Proud of you. She smiled and typed back. Thank you for the mirror, he replied. Thank you for the truth. Ana slipped her phone into her pocket and walked through the soft rain. No umbrella, no hurry. Across the street, a young girl stood with her mother, holding a small umbrella. She recognized Ana and waved shyly. Ana smiled, walked over, and knelt. Down. Hi, she said gently. The girl looked nervous. I want to be an actress, but people say I'm not strong enough. Ana reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something. Small, a folded note she had written it the night before. She handed it to the girl and whispered, Open this when you feel lost. And she smiled at the mother, nodded, and walked away. When Ana was gone, the little girl unfolded the paper. Inside, written in simple handwriting, were 4 words. You already are enough. And beneath that, drawn in pencil, was a tiny, crooked mirror. Weeks later, the film premiered. Audiences cried, critics praised, but more than that, people felt something. Not because of the story alone, but because it held something rare. Truth and... As the credits rolled, one name stayed in everyone's mind. Ana de Armas, not because she acted perfectly, but because she was real. And real stays with people long after the lights go out.